Hello everybody and welcome to Notorious Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm Notorious Cly, and this is episode 2 of our introduction to Resonator Red Dragon Archfiend series. In the previous episode, we talked about the new support coming our way, so it only makes sense that in these upcoming episodes we talk about some of the existing support out there for Resonator Red Dragon Archfiend. I like to refer to these cards as the usual suspects. These are the cards that if you've played the deck, played the archetype over the years, you'll know, you'll love, you'll be familiar with. The goal of these upcoming episodes is to reintroduce ourselves to these usual suspects, go over their effects a little bit, talk about their place and standing in deck lists prior to the new support, and then answer one big question: which one should I play going forward? Since this is a reintroduction to some existing cards, I'm not going to go into painstaking detail about all of their effects. I'm just going to try and stick to the highlights. But if you happen to have some questions about any of these cards, please feel free to hit me up in the comments below or on Discord. Two quick things I wanted to touch on before we get started here. Number one, Resonator Red Dragon Archfiend is an archetype that has been around since the 5Ds era, so there are a ton of potential cards we could cover. I'm going to stick to the most commonly played and the most currently relevant cards. In addition to that, I think I'm going to break these upcoming episodes into little sections. In this first section, I'm going to be talking about our usual suspect, Resonators. Resonators are a series of Fiend-type tuners used by Jack Atlas in Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds. We know them, we love them, they're little, they're cool, they're mischievous. They are one of the reasons to play Resonator Red Dragon Archfiend. On screen right now, you should see 5 of our little homies: Crimson Resonator, Red Resonator, Synkron Resonator, Chain Resonator, and Creation Resonator. I picked these 5 Resonators because they are the most commonly played Resonators in decks that are trying to be competent and trying to be competitive. Odds are, if you played Resonator Red Dragon Archfiend before, you've seen or used these cards. Let's start our reintroduction with the one, the only, Crimson Resonator. Crimson Resonator was, and to a certain extent still is, the lifeblood of any competent, any competitive Resonator Red Dragon Archfiend deck list. Even if your deck is no longer built around Crimson Resonator, your deck is built to find Crimson Resonator and then resolve Crimson Resonator's effects. Crimson Resonator has 2 effects, both of them are fantastic. If you control no other monsters, you can special summon Crimson Resonator from your hand. And then while Crimson Resonator is on the field, if the only other monster you control is a Dark Dragon Synchro type monster, you can special summon up to 2 Resonators, not named Crimson Resonator, from your hand or deck. Crimson is an advantage machine that does not need to use your normal summon. This card is on equivalent power levels to Mathemax Circular, but Konami actually did a great job in balancing this card by having it lock you into Dark Dragon Synchro monsters from the extra deck the whole turn you would want to use either of its effects. Turns out Konami does know how to put meaningful restrictions on cards. Crimson doesn't need much more of an introduction. Calling it the lifeblood of any competent Resonator list should be introduction enough. Let's move on to our next Resonator in Red Resonator. Red Resonator has 2 effects. When it is normal summoned, you can special summon a level 4 or lower monster from your hand. And then when it is special summoned, you can target one monster on the field and gain life points equal to its attack. Red Resonator also happens to be a level 2 Resonator, which works perfectly for our preferred combo line of level 2 Resonator plus level 4 non-tuner. Red Resonator saw play in pre-support Resonator Red Dragon Archfiend deck lists as a secondary or emergency starter. You would always prefer to start with Crimson Resonator, but if you had Red in your hands, at least you knew Red could get another material on board with it. The life point gain of Red Resonator isn't the greatest effect in the world, but it would come up in grind games every now and then to let you stick around longer than you should have. And it also allowed Red to compete for the title of Resonator who saw the most meta play. Red Resonator saw meta level play in side decks as a target for Gigantic Sprite to be special summoned and gain life points to win in time. Hooray for time rules. There's not much more to say about Red Resonator, so let's move on to Synkron Resonator. Synkron Resonator is a level 1 Resonator, which makes it a little odd to include. Normally we want to go level 2 tuner plus level 4 non-tuner. Synkron Resonator being a level 1 tuner means it's used more as an extender than a starter. Synkron's role in the deck though is incredibly valuable. It helps us make Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss. Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss, in my opinion, is the best archetypical monster Resonators can be going for on turn 1. Synkron Resonator helps us make Abyss by being able to special summon itself from the hand if there is a Synchro monster on the field. Synkron doesn't care if you control the Synkron monster or if your opponent controls the Synkron monster. It only cares that there is a Synkron monster on the field. Synkron also has a useful ability. When it is sent from field to the graveyard, you can target a Resonator, not named Synkron Resonator, in your graveyard, and add it back to your hand, giving you more material for extension or for follow-up. Next up is another level 1 Resonator, Chain Resonator. Chain Resonator, when it's normal summoned, as long as there's a Synkron monster on the field, allows you to special summon a Resonator monster from your deck. Chain Resonator is a monster you would hope to find over the course of your combo, primarily by special summoning it from deck off Crimson Resonator, recycling it back to your hand via Synkron Resonator, and then normal summoning because Crimson Resonator is amazing and doesn't have to use your normal summon. The ability to get Chain Resonator on board and then drag another Resonator of a level of your choosing from the deck helped give the deck a lot of combo potential. Chain Resonator also filled a specific niche of best light Resonator we could possibly play. Chaos Ruler the Chaotic Magical Dragon loved to have light monsters and dark monsters in the deck. Resonator Red Dragon Archfiend has an abundance of dark monsters, but good light monsters are a little harder to come by. Chain Resonator, being a light type monster that was easy to find, made it our Chaos Boys favorite. Chain Resonator's Chaos typing is still relevant, but has become significantly less relevant now that Chaos Ruler the Chaotic Magical Dragon is banned. Let's talk about our next and last Resonator, Creation Resonator. Creation Resonator, similar to Chain Resonator, filled a very specific niche, and that niche was best level 3 Resonator we could find. Creation has the effect that if you control a level 8 or higher Synkron monster, you can special summon it from your hand. Much to Red Resonator's dismay, Creation Resonator is the Resonator that currently holds the title of Resonator that saw the most meta-relevant play. For those of you who were playing a few years ago, you may remember Creation Resonator's inclusion in Based and Kitchen Sink, which were just glorified Hulk piles. In Resonator Red Dragon Archfiend though, Creation's role as a level 3 was very important in specific builds to help bridge the gaps between atypical levels in non-tuners that we would want to include. I think we've done a good job of reintroducing the Resonators and going over their effects, and now it's time to ask and answer our one big question. Going forward, which one should I play? And the answer to that question is, you should play Crimson Resonator without a doubt, Synkron Resonator without a doubt, and maybe, just maybe, you should play Chain Resonator. You should not play Red Resonator, and you should not play Creation Resonator. The reason why you should be playing Crimson Resonator should be quite obvious. Any card that can be compared to Mathemax Circular or be described as the lifeblood of any competent competitive Resonator Red Dragon Archfiend deck list should be a no-brainer auto-include. There are a few builds of Resonator Red Dragon Archfiend floating around out there. Some are built specifically around Crimson Resonator, some are not, but the goals of those lists are still the same. Find Crimson Resonator, whether it be as a starter or over the course of your combo, and then resolve Crimson Resonator's effect to pull multiple Resonators from your deck. Synkron Resonator, in my opinion, is a Resonator you should 100% be playing going forward because it offers so much value to any deck list. It helps us make Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss, which is a monster so good that other decks or other archetypes constantly try to borrow it from us. If Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss is good enough for Dragon Link and for Blackwings to try and make, it is good enough for us to also try and make. Synkron's ability to also recycle Resonators back to our hand is also wonderful when you consider that some of the new support, like Soul Resonator, enables one-card combos. Getting that one-card combo back into your hand could mean the difference between winning and losing in the grind game. Chain Resonator received a maybe from me because it's going to depend on the particulars of your list. You're going to need to answer 3 questions to determine whether or not you want to be playing Chain Resonator. Do you have a normal summon to spare? Do you need a level 1 Resonator not named Synkron Resonator? Do you need an easily accessible light attribute monster? The answer to that question will determine whether or not you want to play Chain Resonator. Now that Chaos Ruler the Chaotic Magical Dragon is banned, having access to that light type monster has become significantly less important. And to maximize Chain Resonator, you need to be able to normal summon it throughout your combo. If your list is focused around maximizing Soul Resonator's potential, you're always going to want to reserve your normal summon for Soul Resonator. Now it's time to address the no's. I don't believe you should be playing Red Resonator going forward. Now that Soul Resonator exists, we have a much better secondary starter, one that can even find its own non-tuner. It doesn't rely on you opening that non-tuner in your hand. For those of you who know me, you know I tried not to be too dogmatic about things. There may be reason in the future to play Red Resonator, and I encourage all of you to explore whether or not you should be playing Red Resonator on your own. There may be some combos that I've missed that really rely on being able to find a level 2 Resonator off of Crimson Resonator. There may also be some merit to playing Red specifically for the life point gain. Unfortunately, in my experience, I haven't found either of those things to be useful quite yet. There's always the chance that new support comes in the future, or new combo lines emerge. These are always things we should be on the lookout for, and always things we should be constantly monitoring and reevaluating. Next up is Creation Resonator. No, I don't think you should be playing Creation Resonator going forward. Creation Resonator's niche as the best level 3 Resonator you could be playing has been taken by Soul Resonator. When you compare what Soul Resonator can do with what Creation Resonator can do, it becomes very obvious that if you want a level 3 in your deck list, it should be Soul Resonator. Again, I try not to be too dogmatic about these things. There may be combo lines in the future that develop that require you to have a level 3 that can special summon itself. If such a situation were to arise, Creation Resonator might be the Resonator you want to play. There's also nothing saying that you can't play Soul Resonator and Creation Resonator together. I've just found in my testing that anytime I want a level 3 Resonator, it's always going to be Soul because Soul represents so much more advantage. And that's going to do it for this episode of Introduction to Resonator Red Dragon Archfiend. Thank you everybody so much for watching, and I can't wait to see you on the next episode, where we are going to be covering the non-tuner usual suspects. I hope to see you there. Please like, comment, and subscribe so you don't miss anything. And as always, be safe, have fun.